past the 6:01 here, so let's give it 1 minute, and we'll start the meeting at 6:02. Okay, we'll begin the meeting now. Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please take attendance.
Councilmember Wendell is absent this evening.
Thank you. Okay, consent agenda. Is there any items on the consent agenda that need to be removed?
Motion to approve.
If none,
Motion to approve.
rain fart. I ask for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion is seconded. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon, Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Motion passed. Now we move on to open forum. Sdsu Student Association report. We have someone here. I'm assuming you're the SA president? Very good. Please state your name and
Students Association president. For those of you who don't know me, grew up here in Brookings, graduated from Brookings High School in 2018, currently going to Sdsu, majoring in political science and journalism, looking to graduate this May if everything goes to plan. Anna gave me a little bit of a lengthier report tonight, just a little bit of a forewarning for you there. So to get into it, we've approved 3 club constitutions since last time Students Association was here with you. So we have the Fluid Power Club.
Excuse me, can you get closer to the mic?
Yes.
Thank you.
We have the Fluid Power Club, the Graduate Student Council Constitution, and then the Snow Hares, which is like a snowmobiling club. So 3 exciting new clubs at SDSU. We passed 4 of the 7 amendments to our bylaws with the goal of making our elections more accessible for student government. So our first amendment was to publish our election dates in the newspaper and some kind of transparency things there. The second one was revising the guidelines regarding our student union and when you're allowed to advertise, what you're allowed to wear on campaign days, things like that. The third one was the grievance procedure. So if there's any issues with the election, the process that the candidates have to go through to have that resolved. And then the other one just kind of cleaned up our posting policy language that was a little out of date with the current social media age. We approved an ordinance that kind of clarified our in-person attendance policy. Since we've ushered in the Zoom era, allowing senators to participate remotely, we just kind of put an ordinance in which clarified when senators are allowed to participate via Zoom. And then we also passed a resolution in support of open educational resources, or OER. Essentially, this is an initiative that encourages professors to find free educational resources for students. So instead of asking students to purchase a textbook, they'd go and find some online journals or things like that are already available to students, just to help with some cost savings there. Something that our provost and our library are very in support of. And then finally, for Students Association, we had our once a semester Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex open house. So an opportunity for your students who aren't athletes to go in and use that super nice facility. On to university updates. So last Friday, there was an announcement where there was an anonymous donor who contributed $10 million to the Frost Arena renovation. That's in addition to the $20 million announced by First Bank and Trust 2 months ago, so it's making progress on those fundraising goals. International Night was 2 weeks ago in the Student Union. So Students Association covered $1,000 of that, in addition to some of our normal money that we give that organization. Very popular event, both for students and members of the community. We were told that the event was so popular they actually had to turn people away because the room capacity was full. So very good to hear that. SDSU football team secured an at-large bid to the NCAA Division I playoffs, so they'll be playing here at 2 p.m. on Saturday. SDSU also just announced they're going to be purchasing the student tickets, so students won't have to buy tickets to get into that, which we're very excited about. Thanksgiving break starts tomorrow, so today was the last day of classes for SDSU, so most of the students are heading home tonight and tomorrow morning. And then that actually concludes my report, so I will stand by if you have any questions.
Counselor, okay, go ahead.
I do have one. I was just curious if you recall the detail of your ordinance for when it's permissible for senators to participate via Zoom. Just out of curiosity, what are the distinctions you're making?
Yeah, so the expectation, kind of as just a standing rule, is that senators are there in person. We outlined kind of the general things that allow for Zoom participation, illness, if you're gone for a school trip with that university excused absence, family emergency that takes you out of Brookings, things like that would be permissible. And then it's just up to the discretion of the president, vice president, and then advisors to decide when that's going to be allowed.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, item 5B, informational report, CDI Bridge Reinspection Program. Chris Brozik.
Good evening, counselors. Design. Civil Design performed the City of Brookings bridge inspections. We perform those inspections every other year as part of your required bridge inspection program. I want to go through just a few brief slides and give you an overall summary of how those inspections went. Kind of a brief overview. City of Brookings has 4 what are considered NBIS structures owned and maintained by the City of Brookings, and 1 private structure that is within the limits of the City of Brookings Airport. And of those 4 we contract with the DOT on, since they are within city limits and within city right-of-way. The individual structure on the City of Brookings Airport Bridge, we just contract directly with the city, since that is a private structure, but the city feeling it necessary to also do an inspection on that within the same cycle, just to maintain records. An NBIS structure is essentially a bridge, any bridge that's over 20 feet in length. So if you would have, a box culvert or multiple pipe, that would be a total of less than 20 feet in length, or even a small bridge less than 20 feet in length that wouldn't qualify as part of this work. So just bearing that in mind, the 4 structures within the city limits are the ones I'll be speaking on today. There are exceptions to doing an inspection every 24 months, but then there are also some exceptions to doing them up to 48 months. All 4 of your structures are on a 24-month inspection cycle based on the criteria that are required for those 4 select structures. We also, in addition to doing field work, we go out, put boots on the ground, take a look at the overall condition of all the structures. In addition to that work, we also do office work, where we come back and generate reports to help validate all of the findings that we did have. In addition to that, then we also provide an overall summary and then meet with the city engineering department to go through all of our findings and any repair recommendations on any of those structures. Also, to be clear, these inspections are related only to the structural integrity and safety features of the structure, and not directly related to any drainage analysis or anything of that fashion. So these are the 4 structures. On the right-hand side, there's a map showing where the structures are located. So you have, towards the northwestern part of city limits, you have Western Avenue, The northwest structure there being structure 06, 160, 152. That is a 3-cell box culvert directly underneath Western Avenue. That one was built in 1932 and showing some age and some signs of deterioration, particularly at the ends of the box, mainly due to de-icing salts and just over the longevity of that structure has seen some deterioration. Fortunately, the overall condition of the structure under the roadway itself is still in relatively good condition, and we have no concerns of any future load posting or restriction on that structure in the near future. The next structure down, 06, 160, 158, is located just north of the bowling alley on Western Avenue. The top right photo there is showing an approach view looking north. Again, built in 1988, overall very minimal issues with this one as well, more or less related to safety features or signage or things like that. The next structure, both of these are, the last two structures I should say, are both located on Madera Avenue, north of the Highway 14 bypass. Both structures there also are in similar fashion to the previous structure we looked at. These are all continuous concrete slab structures, very stout structures, overall in very good condition for their age and their location. This is just a general overview of what we do for you in the field when we're doing these inspections. So overall, we start with field work out in the field, generally 2 people, sometimes 1, where we start by, first of all, looking at just the approaches leading to the bridge, any signage, make sure all those safety features are in place like they should. Then from there, we actually get up onto the bridge, start looking at the overall bridge deck, the concrete deck, and the barrier rails, make sure there's no physical damage. And then from there, start our way under the structure, looking at the underside, whether there's beams or a concrete slab structure itself. And from there, then kind of rounding out the overall structure itself, looking at the substructure units that are supporting that superstructure towards the center of the bridge and then also at its ends. Something else we do is monitor channel profiles, channel protection, looking at riprap, and then also doing what's called a channel profile, where we take a survey of the channel across the bridge so we can monitor any deterioration of the channel itself or scour measures that may need to be taken if there is scour from a recent flood event. This is just a general picture showing a few of the actual sheets from a bridge inspection report, just to give you an idea of what it might look like at the end form that we provide to the engineering department. First page being a cover sheet. The next page providing a little more detail on the structure itself, overall length, bridge width, when the structure was inspected, if there's any load posting currently, and if there are any recommendations to provide a load posting, and then any repair or rehab recommendations for that particular structure that are being identified. Then it goes into the actual components of the bridge, consisting of the deck, the superstructure, substructure, and ultimately the channel details of the bridge. Along with that, verbiage is also quite a bit of photo documentation. I'm a big photo taker and like to provide those details to the client so that they can see those defects without having to physically go out there and look at them. We also like to take pictures of photos of items that are in good condition, so we can document that as well. So if we start to see deterioration, we can look back and see what it looked like a few years back and kind of help note if there's any advanced deterioration of that structure. And then also, as I mentioned before, having that channel profile included within the bridge inspection report. After we generate all the bridge inspection reports and provide that to the engineering department, we also send that to the South Dakota DOT, which ultimately gets sent to the Federal Highway Administration, where they document bridges throughout the nation, and this also gets included with that. Then, in addition to that, we provide a summary, kind of a high-level view without getting into the nuts and bolts of the inspection report. We provide that information more on a summarized edition where the engineering staff or the maintenance staff can look at this as you know, a direct means of any repair items or any postings that may occur. Finally, after we have the summary completed and all the bridge inspection reports completed, we then sit down with the engineering department and go through each of these in detail and explain if there are any recommended repairs that we identify those and explain maybe what is an essential repair versus more of an optional item that may not be necessary at this time, but still is warranted down the road. So, other than that, if there's anything else, that's all I have. Take any questions you guys might have.
Any questions from council? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 5C, presentation outside agency funding. City Manager Paul Persino, and I would assume Heidi's going to be part of this also.
Yes, you will. Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. The City Council requested a revisit of the current social service. For 2021, the budgeting process, the United Way did accept applications, utilized a rubric with City Council priorities, and made a recommendation to City Council. That same process will occur for 2022 social service agency funding. And in January and February, in just a few short months, Council will be presented with a recommendation from United Way. Based on Council's direction, funding will occur, and an impact report will be submitted in the spring for 2021 funding metrics. Heidi is here, as mentioned earlier, to explain more of the process, including the application process, which is currently underway.
And with Brookings Area United Way. Kind of the process we are in right now is applications are open. They do close December 3rd. They are an online application process. So once those are in, then our board members will start the reading and the scoring. Inside the packet, it does go through the different things that they look at. They do assessments in the area of community need, impact, ability and evaluation, financial management, track record, and being able to kind of read through the out to the agencies if they have any more questions or need some clarification. And then they do get together within small groups to do those scoring to make sure that we don't, everybody has all the information that they need. Once that scoring is done, it goes into the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet takes the information of by the city, puts that in, and then the calculation happens based on the scoring of the dollar amount, then that can be assigned to each agency. We saw last year that not every agency received the full amount. There just was not enough money in the pot to do 100% to each agency. And so based on the information, that's the recommendation we made back to you. And this year we do have the dollar amount. I do not have any information at this point of how much will be asked for by the different organizations or the full list of who is going to apply, because again, those applications are still open. Any questions?
I'm not seeing any here, but you're involved in all this with your volunteer board and your staff.
It's give you a specific number because it's kind of, we do a little here, we do a little there, but I mean, there's the time that goes into the putting together, making sure the application is ready to go, then the scoring. And the applications, I mean, they include a lot of documentation with it. And so they're reading through the financials, they're reading through making sure, that all of that information that we asked for was there. And then again, like I said, they can reach out for any other questions. The actual, probably the scoring of it probably takes about an hour and a half because everybody's read through things ahead of time on their own, and then they can come together and have those conversations. And then at our allocation meeting, which happens in January, once we know what our United Way campaign has brought in, and we know the city dollar amount, then we have the two different spreadsheets that go for those two different application sections and be able to do that. And that's probably a 2 to 2.5 hour meeting.
Thank you, Heidi.
Mm-hmm.
And the volunteer board also.
I will do.
Okay, on to, I guess, those are the other items we have right now in presentations. We've got time now for open forum. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address the council on an item that is not listed on the agenda this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item 6, contracts and change orders. Item 6A, resolution 21-098, awarding bids on Brookings City and County Government Center lawn care and snow removal services. Mr. Jared Thomas, our chief building official, will review this item.
Resolution 21098 is to award the contract for the city and county lawn care and snow removal services for 2022, and with the option to extend it for 2023 as well. We received one bid from Razor's Edge, who is our current contractor that performs those services. We reviewed, they had a slight increase in prices based on just some costs associated with aeration, fertilization, stuff like that. So we had a look at that. City recommends, or staff recommends approval of resolution as presented. I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Jared. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
On this item. Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments? Please.
Just a clarification. 1921 building, is that the county's portion of this? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
and so we get invoiced separately for those, so.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Any other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink, Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Avery.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6B, Resolution 21-099, awarding bids on city cropland lease in Weiss and Freeland additions. Mike Struck, our Community Development Director, will review this item.
Thank you, Mayor. And we bid out cropland leases for our industrial properties that are undeveloped at this particular point in time. And so we've got two areas on the east side of the interstate, which is just across the street from the Larson Ice Center, and then the Freeland addition, which is north of the Highway 14 bypass along 32nd Avenue. We received 3 bids for the cropland leases, and we are recommending to award the bids to LNJ Farms at a price of $180 per acre. This would be for a 1-year lease with the option to renew. If approved, we will have to come back at the next available council meeting with a resolution of intent to lease real property to a private individual. So it's kind of a 2-step process. We'd approve the bids tonight and then come back with the resolution of intent to lease with a lease agreement at a future council member meeting. So I'd stand for any questions you may.
Entertain.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6C, Resolution 21-100, awarding bids for airport Hayland lease. Charlie Richter, our city engineer, will review this item.
The results of the airport hay lease bid on November 7th. As seen in the attached slide, the hay lease will be for 314 acres that abut the airport. 1-year lease with a mutual option for 2 additional 1-year leases. The apparent high bidder is MC Hay from Volga for $91.33 per acre, which equates to an annual payment of $28,677.62. This represents an increase of 17% from the last bid. The apparent high bidder has been vetted and his bid looks sound. Therefore, the DPW recommends that the city approve the bid for the airport to MC Hay.
Thank you, Charlie. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public comment. Does the council have any questions or comments? Seeing none, will the city clerk please call the roll?
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6D, Resolution 21-101, approving the purchase of a new automated collection truck. Jake Meshi, our Assistant City Manager, will review this item.
Resolution 21-101 would authorize the purchase of a new automated collection truck to be used for garbage, recycling, and yard waste services. The current truck has surpassed its useful life and will experience more costly repairs going forward. The 2021 budget contains $290,000 for the purchase of the new truck, Working through Sourcewell, the low bid came in $652 over budget. Lead time for the new truck is estimated between 12 to 16 months. Staff would carry over 2021 funding and supplement with $652 to properly budget for the truck in 2022 or possibly 23 if we are closer to that 16-month mark. Staff recommends approval of the resolution as presented and would stand for any questions.
Move.
So moved. Second.
And moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public comment. Does the council have any questions or comments? Seeing none, will the city clerk please call the roll?
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins.
Okay, move on to ordinances and first readings. Item 7A, introduction and first reading on ordinance 21-040. Change the zoning for Block 20 in Prairie Hills Edition from a B2/R3 to Residence R3 Apartment District. Mike Struck, our Community Development Director, will review this item for us.
The rezoning ordinance before you tonight is to clean up an area that is split zoned, about half of the parcel, the other half being the B2. The owners of the property would like to rezone it all to R3. They're looking at a multifamily project in this area. You can see the area that's highlighted in red, and you can see the different colors of zone there. You got portions R3 and some B2, and so it's really just a cleanup. This does come to you with a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission, and the Development Review Team both support this, and I would stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mike. Is there any public comment on this item? Are there any questions from the council or comments? Seeing none, let's move on to the next item, 7B, introduction and first reading on ordinance 21-041. Change the zoning for Lot 2, Block 19 in Prairie Hills Edition from a Business B2 district to Residence R3 Apartment District. Mike Struck, our Community Development Director, will also review this.
This is rezoning in the same vicinity down in the Prairie Hills Edition. This one's a little bit avenue. You can kind of see the area outlined on the screen in red. This is another rezoning that would like to take it from a B2 to an R3, proposing to do multifamily down in this area. The total area is approximately 4.3 acres. This does come to you as a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission, and the Development Review Team does support the rezoning request, and I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments on this item? Thank you, Mike. Both of these items that we've just discussed will be scheduled for December 14 meeting. We'll have a second hearing on it. Item 8, public hearings and second readings. Item 8A, public hearing and action on resolution 21-102, authorizing an application for financial assistance, authorizing execution and submittal of the application, and designating an authorized representative to certify and sign payment requests. This project is on the water treatment facility and piping project. Eric Witt will present this item. He's the BMU water and wastewater engineer.
Thank you. Us here tonight. We have a series of 3 public hearings required for the SRF funding application process. This is the gateway to ARPA and infrastructure funding, which we hope to capitalize on all 3 of these projects. For the presentations tonight, the technical portion will be handled by our consultant, Joe Honor with HDR. When we get to the financial component, we'll bring First District present on that. They're the planning district that is facilitating, excuse me, and supporting our application to the state. So with that, I'll turn it over to the technical portion of the first public hearing to Joe Honor.
Thank you, Eric. So the water treatment facility and piping project is the largest project of the public hearing that will be discussed. There are 3 aspects of this project: source water, which is your well field expansion, a new water treatment plant, and then finished water distribution piping that would be incorporated to pump the drinking water into your existing distribution system. So the first component is source water. You have existing north well field, north of town, and then east well field east of your existing east water treatment plant. The intent of this project is to incorporate 2 additional wells at the north well field and 4 additional wells at the east well field. And there would be raw water piping that would take the water from the north well field and the east well field to the new water treatment plant. On the exhibit that is shown, the blue box that's on the upper right-hand corner is the proposed site, or is the site of the new water treatment facility for the city of Brookings. So the red lines are the raw water piping that would be bringing that water, the raw water, to the water treatment facility for treatment. The next aspect of the project is a new water treatment plant. It would be a 6 million gallon a day lime softening media filtration facility, which matches the same type of process that your 2 existing facilities have, being able to produce similar quality of water of what you have today. It will incorporate new administration facilities. The filtration process uses backwash water. That water will be recaptured and recycled. There will be a 1.5 million gallons worth of storage at this facility, replacing the 1.5 million gallons of storage that you have at the north water treatment plant that will be decommissioned as a part of this project. And there will be lime sludge lagoons on site for handling the solids. And the final aspect of this project is the distribution system. In the exhibit, the blue lines that you see would take water from the new water treatment plant. There would be a 16-inch pipe that would go north and west to tie into the existing system. And there would be a 20-inch main line that would go south down to 20th Street, cross at the interchange, the new interchange at 20th Street, and then extend to the 20th Street Tower. That phase of the project was originally going to be in phase 2, but is now being pulled into phase 1 due to the demands and usage that you had this summer and experienced with that water tower. With any project that's going to have SRF funding, we have to go through an environmental compliance review. We have to consider potential impacts, and we have to coordinate with the state and federal agencies leading up to this project and get their approval to move ahead with the project. The 4 agencies that were contacted were Game, Fish, and Parks from South Dakota, USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. All 4 of those entities were contacted via letters in the facility planning phase, and all 4 responded with no adverse impacts are anticipated for this project. Some of the pipeline that is going to be routed in this may be a little different than what the facility plan had shown. So there will be some instances where we do have to go back to these agencies to show the new route and get their authorization, but we do not anticipate any issues with that at this point. This first project for the water treatment plant, the well field expansion, and the finished water pipeline, the estimated cost at this point is $74 million. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to First District.
Thank you for having us here today. I'm Greg Mogg with First District. Now, we just received an email here before we walked into this meeting here from the State Department of Ag and Natural Resources that just completely changed my presentation at this point. We actually got some clarification on the American Rescue Plan Act funds from the email from an official at the Department of Ag and Natural Resources. In that email, it says that the governor is going to recommend in her budget address $600 million of the state ARPA funding be put into the Department of Ag and Natural Resources funding assistance program, particularly the state revolving fund program, to assist projects that have been submitted, and a majority of them were submitted here at the October meeting, including the 3 for Brookings at this point. Also in that email, they actually provided, for the first time in all my years of working on this, in these programs, some criteria that will be used or potentially used, they're proposing criteria that could be used to actually determine how the grant funds will be given out. So the first criteria is that in order to be eligible for the grant funding, in this case, we're talking water rates, but we also have one sewer project in this, so I'm talking 2 programs, clean water SRF for the sewer and drinking water SRF for the water projects. The interest rate is 2.125%, terms are 30 years for the loans. Your rates for the 5,000 gallons of usage have to be at or higher than $55 a month in order to be eligible to get any of the grant funding that they're giving out, the ARPA funds that they're giving out at this point. If you get to the 55 or higher, then it's based on the number of individuals in your service area. And of course, Brookings is going to fall in the highest tier, which is 2,500 individuals or higher. So what they're proposing is $3,000 per person in grant funds, up to a maximum of 30% of the project cost. So for the $74 million project here, we'd probably be looking at in the vicinity of 22 or 23 million. Like I said, I didn't have time to do all the math on this at this point, that they would be proposing as grant funds for this particular project. And then there's another criteria that says if the city wants to use some of their local ARP funding to help fund the project, they will match the amount that you put in there 1-to-1. So another possibility of getting some additional grant funds. So at this point, we know that you're going to be taking out, based on what we were going to present here tonight, previously, before we got this, looks like it would be about, for say, an $18.54 increase, which would turn your current rates for 5,000 gallons of usage up to $57.78. You would get a $37 million loan. That's what you would be able to buy for that rate at this point in time. And then we'd be looking at grant funds on top of that. And I don't know, there might be a little gap in there yet that I don't know exactly how we would address at this point. But it could conceivably be that your rates would go up a little higher and you might get a little bit bigger loan, unless there was some local funding that could be put into this. So that's what the state is proposing right now, is $55 a month. They consider that an affordable rate. So, and then there will be grant funds provided to it as long as you meet the criteria. So that's for this project here, and I'll let them, I think we're going to do 2 more projects here at this point. Oops.
Does council or anybody have any questions or comments while he's up there? Item 8B, public hearing and action on, oh no, wait a minute. We have to have a motion on this. I keep thinking it was the or first reading. All right, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved and
Second.
second? All right, moved and seconded. Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 8B, public hearing and action on Resolution 21-103, authorizing an application for financial assistance, authorizing the execution and submittal of the application, and designated an authorized representative to certify and sign payment requests. This is on the project on 34th Avenue Sewer Replacement Project. We're going to have, you're going to have to tell me your name. I don't.
Joe Honor.
There
with
you go.
HDR.
All right. I got Eric down here, but
No
go
problem.
ahead, Joe.
Yep. Continuation of the first project that we talked about with the water treatment plant. The funding sources available through the state of South Dakota provide water for drinking water, and then there's a separate avenue to get funding for wastewater or sewer type projects. So this piece of the project, while it's associated and tied with the water treatment plant, is dealing with the wastewater aspects of the project. Go to the next. So this project on the east end of the city, adjacent to the water treatment plant. So there would be improvements north of the water treatment plant, installing a 12-inch PVC sanitary sewer, and then there would be a 24-inch PVC sanitary sewer installed from the water treatment plant, the new water treatment plant south, to incorporate improvements to allocate and account for the wastes that are being produced at the water treatment plant, as well as other wastes in the area as a result of a sewer study that had been conducted previously. And this project is estimated at $4 million. I'm going to turn it over to Greg again for First District.
Oh, I'm Christina Kraus. I'm a colleague of Greg's working on these SRF projects as well. With this wastewater, it falls under the same criteria for going to the state. This is the project cost doesn't impact the rates as much. You probably will just have a 100% loan, which would increase your rate by $1.73, making it $47.93 a month, which falls under that $55, which is why we think that you would probably only get loans for this project. Any questions?
All right. All right, open public hearing on this item. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Does the council have any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn.
Aye.
Avery.
Aye.
Okay, one more time. Item 8C, public hearing and action on Resolution 21-104, authorizing an application for financial assistance, authorizing the execution and submittal of the application, designating an authorized representative to certify and sign payment requests. This will be the lead water service line replacement project. And Eric will be presenting this item.
Council, this project is an in-house design project, so we would be one. This is an effort to remove the remaining lead service lines in the community. Over the course of the last 20 years, BMU has been proactive in getting lead service lines out of the distribution system. And I assume the council is aware that lead service lines have a negative health aspect to them. And certainly there's increased regulation coming up in the near future. In 2024, the federal lead and copper rule will be updated. There will be more public disclosure. There will be more stringent regulations. And along with the other infrastructure dollars that are out there, there's been a lot of discussion of earmarking specific funds for removal of lead services. So our intent is to remove the remaining 48 known lead service lines left in the distribution system. They're approximately shown in the location on the map. They're the little orange parcels. We have a pretty good handle of where they are in the community. And again, by submitting this funding application, we're hoping to capitalize on earmarked funding for this lead removal and abatement. Project cost will be just under $920,000. We included the application funding at rounded up to $1 million. And again, I'll have first rate impact of the potential project.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, for this particular project here, I'm going to, thinking that we're going to probably raise our rates because of the water treatment plant. So we'll be at that $55 a month or higher criteria. So then I'm going to say that we probably would see some grant funds even for this smaller project, about $1 million or less. So you get about 30% of the cost in grant dollars for this project. And then obviously, again, we're probably talking either loan funds or some other kind of funding to cover the remaining 70%. So if it does, if in this case, And I'm going to use, right now, I mean, if we had a 100% loan, just for the matter of the fact, it only raised your rates 45 cents a month. And I would say that we're probably going to be down at 20 cents maybe if we get a grant, or in that 20 to 30 cent range.
Thank you. Open public hearing on this item. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Does the council have any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, city clerk, please call the roll.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 8D, second reading and action on Ordinance 21-036, repealing sections 2-261 through 2-272 of the Code of Ordinances pertaining to the University Community Coalition. Bonnie, our city clerk, will present this item.
Mayor, city council members, and members of the public, this is an ordinance dissolving the University Community Coalition. This was originally established back in 2016 for the purpose to identify, investigate, propose, and advocate practices and policies that will improve the well-being of the university community relationship and the quality of life within the city of Brookings. This coalition was to create a platform for effective communication. It is no longer deemed necessary due to the excellent relationships that have been developed and fostered with SDSU's leadership, staff, and students. City records show this coalition never met as an active body, as there are no agendas or minutes on record. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Bonnie. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public comment. Does the council have any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon.
Motion passes. On to other business. Item 9A, action on resolution 21-097, a resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations of grant funds to the 2021 budget. Ashley Wrench, our Deputy Finance Manager, will review this item.
Good evening, Mayor. Resolution 21-097, authorizing supplemental appropriations of grant funds to the 2021 budget. The Police Department recently received 2 federal Homeland Security grants totaling approximately $71,000. The department will purchase tactical vests and invest in SWAT team leader training. This resolution will increase the budgeted amounts for the grant revenue and related expenditures. Staff recommends approval of this resolution as presented, and I will stand by for any questions.
Public comment on this? Seeing none. We have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any council questions or questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Item 9B, action on revised preliminary plat for lots 1 and 2, Block 19, Block 20, and Block 21 in Prairie Hills Edition. Mike Struck, our Community Development Director, will review this item.
This is a revised preliminary plat for the Prairie Hills Edition. This preliminary plat shows approved this evening on a rezone, and so Block 21 is the larger area up in the northwest corner of Prairie Hills, and there's lots 1 and 2 of Block 19 that are just on the south side of Sweetgrass Drive, and then Block 20 is just to the east of Tallgrass Parkway. These are the areas that have seen the changes and the revisions. It's consistent with the overall master plan for the Prairie Hills Edition. It does come to you as a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission, and the Development Review Team supports the revised preliminary plat, and I would stand for any questions you may have.
All right, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing done, does the council or have any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Avery.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 9C, action on the city general employee contract. Casey Bell, our human resources risk manager, will review this item.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. This item in the Teamster Local Union Number 120, who represents the city general employees. The existing two-year agreement is set to expire December 31st, 2021. This proposed agreement will cover years 2022, 2023, and 2024. There's an automatic annual opener for salaries. Historically, historically, the city has opted for a three-year agreements. Due to the fluctuation of sales tax, it's essential that the city allow salaries as an annual opener to ensure expenses of increased pay do not outpace revenues. The agreement contains a 1 to 4% merit increase for employees based on performance. Employees that reach the max salary of their range will be eligible for a 1 to 4% payout based on performance. The negotiated items in the agreement, including performance increases and payouts, are contained within the 2022 budget. City staff recommends approval of the agreement, and I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you, Casey. Entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments?
How does the language negotiation actually happen on this contract? I was reading through the areas that have been changed and found some things struck through. And I was just curious how that process happens.
Sure. It probably depends on the item in question, but in conjunction with the members of that are participating in the negotiations, we settle on a language based on that item, and then it's brought forward.
Does it
I would
go-
just add, a lot of times what happens is each side recommends proposed language, and based on each proposal, we fine-tune them throughout the process, to the meeting for process, oftentimes taking multiple meetings, and ultimately what you see before you is what's the result of that discussion.
And the item that prompted my question was that I noticed specifically the section for allowing city employees to be able to take time to vote was struck through. And so I wondered about the process that got us to that point.
So a lot of times we have that language inside our personnel manual. And so if it's noted within the personnel manual, we try to strike it out of the union agreement, just to assure that the only thing that's in the union agreement is things that the union should have discussion on, and ensuring all management rights are located in the personnel manual. And so a lot of those items that are struck through are still valid, but they're in the personnel manual.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Avery.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 9D, action on the police department union contract. Casey Bell will also present this item to us.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Agreement with the Teamster Local Union Number 120, who represents the police department employees. The existing police agreement was a 2-year agreement and is set to expire December 31st, 2021. The proposed police agreement will cover years 2022, 2023, and 2024. There's an automatic annual opener for salaries. Similar to the city general agreement, the police agreement contains a 1 to 4% merit increase for employees based on performance. Employees that reach the max of salary of their range will be eligible for a 1 to 4% one-time payout based on performance. The negotiated items in the police agreement are contained within the 2022 budget, and city staff recommends approval of the agreement. I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you.
So moved. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments on this particular item? Please call the roll.
Just a quick one.
Take that back.
Paul, would this be the same thing as what you told Leah? Like the same thing here? Is that in the personal manuals?
Yeah, I assume for most of it, something significant such as the sergeants no longer being within the agreement, that's not in the personnel manual. But other items, benefits, things of that nature are located in the personnel manual. So if there's anything that's specific that you have, let us know and we can sure confirm that for you.
Thank you.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, please go.
Just procedurally, it might be helpful in the future if we do have items that are stricken from the agreement, but that, just so that we as council can be aware of what still stands or what is actually being changed, just as a procedural thing in the future.
Seeing no other comments or questions, please call the roll.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Thanks, Casey. Now we'll have the progress report from our Assistant City Manager, Jacob Meschy.
Good evening again, Mayor and members of the council. This is the November 2021 progress report. Manager Paul Brazino was presented with the report of the Guard and Reserve. This is given to supervisors and bosses who support service members by providing flexible schedules, time off prior to and after deployment, caring for and putting family first, and granting leave of absence. The city was nominated by our building official, TJ Chandler. We want to thank TJ for his service and proud of the city for being recognized with this achievement. We did hold our COVID vaccine booster shot clinics. They were held on November 1st and 2nd. There was a total of a little over 1,400 booster shots that were provided. The vast majority of them being Moderna, as that is typically what was provided at the pods, so just continuing the series with the vaccines that have been previously provided. We do want to give a special thanks to the United Way staff for assisting with sign-ups through the call center, as well as a dozen of event volunteers at the event itself. The 20th Street Interchange, we had some recent updates here. All easements and rights-of-way necessary to construct the project have been obtained. That's a standing item. Bids were let on November 17th, and the bids came in favorably under budget. We actually just learned today that the bid has been awarded to Bose Construction here locally, and they were over $2.5 million under our engineer's estimate on this project. The project continues to be on track. The bids have been let as noted, and our next steps are to begin construction in 2022, hopefully finishing in 2023. 15th and 7th is one of our final projects remaining for this year, as it'll continue on into 2022. Most of our other projects are wrapped up or wrapping up in the very near future for construction activity. Council can see the work that has been completed to date. Up next, we have the storm sewer installation, sub-base completion, and the tension base installation. As a reminder for City Council and members of the public at home, this project scope includes the extensions of 15th Street South and 7th Avenue, sanitary sewer, water main, storm sewer, a regional detention pond, drainage channel improvements, and then in 2022, we'll be mostly focusing on road surfacing and landscaping and some of those finalizing items. We do expect to complete this around summer or June of 2022, as you can see on the screen. City staff, between our public information officer, Chelsea Bakken, as well as our police department, have recently ordered some snow flyers to be placed on cars in strategic areas in the city. This was done utilizing GIS data where we have seen ticketing happening in the past. So we've ordered about 500 snow flyers that will be placed on cars. As a reminder on the snow removal parking ban information, those flyers will be placed yet this week. This is a cross-promotional marketing campaign, as we will be utilizing these educational flyers as well as social media posts, posters, and web content. We had a new event this year of GIS Day, as this is an item that had been added recently for the city and has improved our capabilities quite tremendously for the development review team, as well as planning and zoning, engineering, and a number of other facets in the development-related field. We had an opportunity to show off some of our GIS information. That was held on November 17th at 4 p.m. This was a joint event between the city of Brookings as well as Brookings County. Really, the focus of this was to show how we can use GIS in everyday life. These are through interactive maps that include trails, different facilities throughout the community, our park system, and just really gives members of the public an idea of how they can integrate GIS into their lives to better navigate the city of Brookings. There is a link on the screen before you. This is a full recap of that event. It's about a 55-minute video that shows the presentation that was given during our GIS Day in 2021. Swiftel Center had 27 event days in the month of November. That included the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association. They had about 3,500 attendees. This was their highest ticket gross in history and highest attendance since changing to a 2-event performance back in 2007. Members of the Swiftel Center also participated in the Hitch Studio Wedding Show. It was held at Club 71. Our staff at the Swiftel Center did provide prospective brides tours of the facility to use the venue as on their special day. Solid waste update. Today is the final yard waste collection for Curbside, so that'll be the last day was today. After hours access to the Citizens Campus will end on November 30th, so that will be the end of the 24/7 access. It will still be available during normal business hours. Before you on the screen does show the hours that we have through the winter months. As a note, the landfill does close on Saturdays in January and February, and it will reopen in March. As a final event reminder, we do have the Mayor's Holiday and Awards event coming up. It will be held at the Swiftel Center on December 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m. The awards themselves will be presented at 6 p.m. This is open to the members of the public, and we encourage everyone to attend this wonderful event. With that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Jake. Any questions or comments? All right. City Council member introduction of topics for future discussion. Does anybody want to bring a topic up to discuss in the future? All right. Seeing none, we'll talk about next meeting is December 14th. Open forum, student association report, strategic plan update, Swiftel Center update. As of right now, we have no first readings. And then, of course, we have second readings and then manager at risk for police department facility. Lease agreements for both projects that we approved tonight, or bids that we approved on the Hay. Humane Society agreement. Second reading, public hearing and action on gas and more on their BL, their the malt beverage. All right. And then corner pantry, relocation of video lottery within the facility. Public hearing and action on temporary alcohol for St. Thomas More Gala. Public hearing on charge on the two change of zonings that we had tonight. Bonnie, is there anything else that we should need to add to that?
Nope, that's a pretty good list.
Well, and then, of course, the last advanced agenda, I didn't mention that Steve Britzman's birthday was on 11/21. And Holly Tilton Burns is coming up on December 18th. And with that, item 12, executive session. Enter into executive session pursuant to SSDCL 1-25-21 for purposes of discussing the qualifications, competence, performance, and character or fitness of any public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee. The term employee does not include an independent contractor, and pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2.3 for purpose of consulting with legal counsel or reviewing communications from legal counsel about proposed or pending litigation or contractual matters. Entertain a motion to approve.
So
Or
moved.
entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Second.
Been moved in second. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Move this portion to executive session. There will be no action following this executive session.